Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Saturday, which means it's Savory Saturday, and I'm going to be preparing another recipe out of the Run Fast, Cook Fast, Eat Slow cookbook. Now, so far we've done some wild rice pancakes, and then we did some superhero muffins, and last week we did some really good granola bars. Those, by the way, were gone in about 2 days, so I might have splurged on them just a little bit too much, but they were really tasty, and they turned out really well. I never know how things are going to turn out, to be honest, as I make these recipes, because this is the first time doing it. So it could turn out to be more of an episode of Nailed It. If you've ever seen that baking show where people try to recreate something and it just quite doesn't turn out the way it's supposed to. Let's hope that that doesn't happen here today. Now, I'm going to be doing a side dish today, so it's a little different than what we've done in the past. I love the superhero muffins, really love the granola bars, but I'm going to be working my way up to maybe doing a main dish, but I thought I would start with a side dish first. So we're doing roasted cauliflower and potatoes today. And just a quick note about this recipe. They note in the book that it's high in vitamin B, also high in potassium and vitamin C that are easy to digest. So it's a good way to replenish all of those energy levels that you're going to need. Now, to make this recipe, we're going to need 1 pound of small red potatoes. We need 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil that we're going to divide out, 2 tablespoons of minced fresh rosemary or 2 teaspoons of dried rosemary, half a teaspoon of fine sea salt that's going to be divided, a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, and then 1 head of cauliflower that is about 1.5 pounds. Now, to get started, we need to preheat our oven, which I've already done, so that's already up to 425 degrees. We're also going to need a baking sheet, and of course they suggest lining it with parchment paper, which I've done here. That's just to make the job of cleanup a little bit easier. I always appreciate that. If they hadn't said that, I probably would have lined it with foil or something along those lines. But I think parchment paper works well because it's less likely to stick to it. I've already prepped, as you can see, the potatoes and the cauliflower. But I like to chop, they suggest that you chop it up into bite-sized pieces. Okay, so I'm going to get to the book here so we can start putting this together. The first thing we need to do is we need to place the potatoes on the baking sheet, and then we're going to toss in with the potatoes the 2 tablespoons of olive oil, the rosemary, and the sea salt, and as well as the pepper. So we're going to kind of mix all these things. You know what I might do? I've already got these potatoes in the bowl that I put just to kind of make it a little bit easier. I might mix them up or toss them in here. This is a fairly deep baking dish, as baking dishes go, but I think it might be a little bit easier for me to do it in here so I can get the olive oil and so on mixed up. And again, we're dividing the olive oil, so even though I've got it in my 3rd cup already, I'm not going to be using all of it at this point. So I'm just going to kind of drizzle maybe half of it on there. All right, that's not too bad. And then again, we need the rosemary, and we're going to be using all of this. So I'm just going to kind of sprinkle this in around, but I will toss it and get it mixed up in there just a little bit better. My goodness, that rosemary smells really good. You know, I've had roasted cauliflower on its own and roasted potatoes on its own, but never the dual combo. So I'm really excited to try this, see how it's going to taste, especially using the rosemary, because that's not something I've done either. I've used just basically salt in the past. So my palate's in for a treat, I think. All right, so then we got the rosemary, and then we need a 1/4 teaspoon of the sea salt. So I need about half of this. Guess that's about half. I don't think we need to be too exacting. And then, of course, we need our black pepper. And we're going to use all of this in here. All right, so I'm just going to use my hands to mix this up. I've already washed them, so I'm good to go there. And I think we'll get this kind of tossed around in here. Again, I'm just kind of mixing it up really good, making sure that the potatoes are coated pretty evenly, if I can, with the olive oil, and get that salt and that rosemary to stick to all those different potatoes, because we want that flavor to be spread out across all of them. I'm kind of excited to try this. I love potatoes, and they're a great source of carbs. And just, for me, as just kind of a side note, in terms of percentage of my calories that come from things like protein, carbs, fat, I try to get about maybe 50% to 60% of my calories to be coming from carbs, but not carbs like sugary carbs, but carbs that you might find in black beans and sweet potatoes and potatoes. Okay, so I think we got that pretty well mixed up. So I'm going to put this in our baking dish here and kind of get some of that mixed around. I'm going to spread these out. I can bake a little bit more evenly. Goodness, I hope when I put my cauliflower in here, I picked a big enough dish. This is what I mean, and you never know what's going to happen here because this is, well, it's not live. It is my first attempt at doing this, and trust me, I won't edit out if I make any kind of mistakes. Okay, so we got, I might edit it to shorten it up because I tend to be a little bit long-winded. Just ask Kim, she'll tell you that, you know, a 5-minute story can easily be 20 minutes with me. All right, case in point, expanding on putting the potatoes in the baking dish. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to roast it in the center of the oven for 20 minutes. And since we've already got it preheated, let's go ahead and put it in the oven, get started. Enjoying a little cup of coffee while I wait. Our 20 minutes is almost up, so the buzzer should be going off pretty soon, and then we'll move on to step 2. And there it is. All right, let's pull this out, and I am going to reset that real quick. I'm going to try to move relatively quickly so I can maintain the heat of the pan. So the directions say that we need to add our cauliflower. Oh my goodness, this pan probably isn't big enough. Oh boy. All right. We're just gonna go with it, see what happens. It's a little crowded here. Okay, so we got our cauliflower added, and then we need to use the remaining part of our olive oil. We're gonna drizzle that on here. Now, I'm just trying to get all the little florets because the potatoes have it on there, but I'm going to drizzle it on, try to cover up as many of them as we can. And then if you remember, we divided our salt as well, so I'm going to just kind of spread that around. Now we're supposed to toss these together. I need to put my glove back on so I can grab a hold of the pan. I'm just going to use a spoon, and I'm just going to kind of flip these over here to try to get everything kind of covered and tossed together. Kind of spread these out just a tad. All right, on to phase 2. Now that we've got the cauliflower kind of tossed in there. So this is what it looks like when it's all in the pan together. Now for phase 2, I'm going to put it back in the oven for another 30 minutes. So let's get that done. Timer start. Okay, so in 30 minutes, we're going to come back and enjoy us some roasted cauliflower and potatoes. Okay, so our 30 minutes is about up. Now they should be browned and slightly charred according to the recipe book. Now I didn't adjust the time at all. They suggested 30 minutes, so I stuck with the 30 minutes, and we're about to see how they turned out. And there it is. All right, so let's check it out. Woo, hear that sizzle. I would say that they're browned and slightly charred, just as they had suggested. So I would stick with the 30 minutes. You might want to check it periodically depending on how hot your oven runs. Now they do suggest that you have a serving size, again, that this makes 5. And I'll probably stick with that because, you know, a fifth of this is a pretty good amount of food. Now for us. Now for calories, if you stick with the 5 servings that they suggest, so you're going to have 183 calories per serving, 23.8 grams of carbs, and 4.3 grams of protein. So overall, I think this makes a really nice side dish. I'm working my way up to making a main dish, That'll be coming probably sometime in the near future as my confidence builds here in the kitchen. Now, I greatly appreciate everybody who's commented in all of the previous videos. If there's something that you'd like to see, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. If it's possible for me to do it, I'll absolutely try to put it together for us. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of this video. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on Run Tall with Tim.